We're back with our conversations on the budget today with the Office of Family Safety. We have Diane Lance with us and some other folks that she will introduce. I just want to say thank you for all of the hard work that you do, and I'm thrilled that we are focusing on this as a community to reduce domestic violence, so I appreciate that. We have a couple of council members who are also with us. I wanted to just make sure that we've recognized them. We have Councilmember Bill Pridemore, who is the Metro Chair for the budget this year, and we have Councilman Larry Hager, who's also with us. So I'm going to turn this over to Talia to kick us off, and then I'll turn it back to you.
Okay. The Office of Family Safety provides a safe legal environment and services for domestic violence victims. The current Metro budget is $758,000. They have grants of about $327,000 and 12 FTEs. Their budget request for FY17 is an increase of $543,400.
And 7 FTEs.
And 7 FTEs.
Great.
And Ms. Lance will go into more detail about those requests.
Great, thank you. And thank you for all the support you give to our office. And again, I'm Diane Lance, Department Head, and to my right is Shelby Moody, who is our current part-time financial officer for our department. And sitting behind me is LaToya Townsend, and she is one of our new employees under a federal arrest grant that we recently received. So we're excited to have her. Yes, we would like that. As you know,
Can I just add one more comment? Yes. I am a proud member of the Domestic Violence Executive Committee.
That is true. That's
great.
I'm very proud of that.
And we really appreciate you having been a part of that since we opened the Gene Crow Advocacy Center, and your presence and leadership is really important to us on that, so thank you. Really wanted to just, make sure, since we're a new department, to just reiterate what we do, and it's really 3 primary functions. We oversee the services provided at our current Family Justice Center, the Gene Crow Advocacy Center, and we'll oversee the service provision at the new Family Justice Center, which will be on Murfreesboro Road. We continue to guide the implementation of Metro's Domestic Violence Safety and Accountability Assessment, and that's something that will be ongoing, whether it be from domestic violence death review recommendations or future assessments. We will continue to oversee and guide those assessment recommendations as they continue through time. And we facilitate victim-centered and coordinated services for domestic violence victims and sexual assault victims, which the new Family Justice Center will also be including victims of sexual assault, so we'll really be expanding our role in that area. We've grouped our ask for this budget cycle into 2 improvement categories. The first category is growth and successful management, and the second category is advocacy, and victim advocacy in particular. And I was hoping to be able to begin with victim advocacy and what we're asking for in that area, since that really is our direct services. So looking at item number 2, we really wanted to start with taking care of our existing advocates. And we had, when we first opened and hired these advocates, we really did misclassify the work that they do. We classified them as social worker 1s, which, given their experience level and the type of work they do, their classification would have been more accurately placed as a social worker 2. And so we are trying to put their salaries into the mid-range of a social worker 2. So taking care of who we have is our first matter of business with advocacy. Our second is being able to meet our current demand. And to do that, we are asking respectfully for 2 new advocates for that, and that is our items number 4 and 5 on your list. The good news is domestic violence victims are utilizing our services at the Gene Crow Advocacy Center. We average about 350 to 400 victims per month at the center, and including the children that they bring and the supportive family members and friends, we have about 600 people per month at that center. And well, that's the good news. The problem is that when we did a recent time study, we end up being about 2.5 advocates short to meet the demand especially during a 5-hour real crunch period. We have more clients than expected. Looking at what Knoxville and Memphis's numbers were, we estimated 250 per month, and we have 350 to 400 per month. We have seen a steady increase now that we're halfway through the second year. Some months our numbers are double double what they were the year before, and they are always more than they were the year before. So it means more people know that we're there, and more people are seeking our services, which is a good thing. So one of those two advocates will help meet the current need. The second advocate will help meet the current need, but also extend into a counseling role. So we'd like to expand our services. We don't provide counseling, we provide immediate crisis intervention, and we find a need, especially in those high-risk cases, to have some more ongoing care. And with an advocate who is qualified with her MSW or his MSW to be a counselor, they will also be able to supervise counseling interns. So you get more bang for your buck by the interns that you can bring in under that type of model. So we'd really like to do that. I have two more advocate positions, so we'd like to go beyond our walls of our current Family Justice Center and really reach out more into the community than we're currently doing, and those are positions 8 and 9 in your list. Juvenile court will soon be taking on the orders of protection that handle unmarried with children.
Yes, they were just in here discussing that.
Yes.
Proposing that.
System-wide, we all think that's a good decision. We think it's a good decision for victims, for them to handle those cases. It's more of a one-stop shop, less inconvenience, which is really important. But we would like to be able to send an advocate to juvenile court to provide advocacy services there. So that will be an outreach beyond the walls of our JCAC. We would like to extend our services more to Metro employees. We find that every presentation we have been giving within our departments, people are coming up or disclosing some type of abuse in their life, and we would really like to be able to have more time and ability to do more outreach within our own community. We'd like to be able to outreach into our jail population, to the victims that are there. We know that they're there. We would like to outreach into the immigrant and new American community. We really have a hard time doing that given our current resources. We'd like to be in the shelters talking about the services that we have, about their court dates that may be coming up. We're always asked to set up tables and give information about us. We just don't have the staffing available to do that. The current Gene Crow Advocacy Center, our clients come naturally because they're subpoenaed to come to court, the majority. At the new Family Justice Center, that won't be the case. We won't have a direct route to come there. So this pre-outreach, learning about what we do in the new center opening will be important so people know that we're there for them at that location. I mentioned that we have bus passes in there as well, and that's for direct services, and that's number 7. I don't know if you have any questions on that, but our second category is growth and successful management, if you'd like for me to continue into that category.
Let me just, I think the ask is a significant ask in relation to your current budget, and the staffing is a significant ask in relation to your current staffing. So I think my question is always outcome-based. Mm-hmm. How do we look at this request from a budget perspective and an FTE perspective and say, what does this do to reduce domestic violence in our community, and does it? And if so, how?
Well, outcomes can be challenging to measure with domestic violence because you're not going to solve it on the first time around. You're going to potentially solve it the 5th or 6th time around because they trust you enough to continue to use your services. So we are about to invest in a new data system called Apricot. It's being used by the main Family Justice Centers in Tennessee and will be used probably across the state. And that is exactly what that data system is supposed to be doing, is measuring these types of outcomes. We certainly have exit surveys of victims where we look at their trauma symptoms and look for reductions in their trauma symptoms from when they came to this, before coming to the center and after receiving our services, and we see significant reductions in trauma symptoms. We're working hand in hand with the district attorney's office to really study their numbers for what happens in court and the dispositions of their cases to the victims that we saw. Right now we can do that with circuit court, and we are seeing that those order protections that we assist on, those victims are more likely, those petitioners are more likely to come to court and be granted their order of protection. So every place we can, I'm really into numbers and measuring, at every place we can do it, we're trying to do it. It's been, the DA's office is working really hard to get a better formatting for their database so we can share that information more easily. And once that happens, I feel like we will be able to measure a lot of our initiatives initiatives more effectively. Donna Blackburn in criminal justice planning now compiles a quarterly domestic violence report, which should help with our numbers as well.
Got that report this morning.
Yes. So,
Good timing.
So I feel like the system as a whole knows that we want to study whatever we can. But again, domestic violence is one of those things. There's no silver bullet. It's usually a lot of different effective initiatives that work together to be able to lead a victim to safety more quickly.
Talia, any questions?
No, I'm clear.
Being on the executive committee and all.
Yes, I know what she's, I clearly
Rich, any
understand.
questions?
It's just a large ask.
Right, I mean, it's.
And I would say that, I know it's a large ask, but we were a new department, and we did start initially very modestly, and it's one of those things that needs to grow organically in the directions that it's going to grow organically. I do want to mention, the financial officer is critical to us as a department. What is funding our part-time financial officer, that money will go to fund Whitney Blanton, who is the director of the Gene Crow Center. She's been funded under a JAG grant, and despite best efforts, we cannot get that grant renewed. They've moved on to other counties who don't yet have family justice centers for that money. We have our Metro budget. We have over $1 million, close to $1 million in grants that need to be managed. Mismanagement financially of those grants can have across the board effects in Metro, so it's a very important position. I also want to quickly mention about the development and grants manager. It's not a traditional grant management position, so our grants are not recurring. Each time we do a grant, it's something new, and they're not formula grants. So you have to write each grant, and you have to manage each one separately. And
So let me just stop you there just for a second, Diane, because I think you just said you have over $1 million in grants.
almost $1 million in
I'm just showing
grants.
327.
Those new ones are not in here yet.
Okay, so you have additional resources in there.
Those
that
were
are-
just recently awarded.
Yes.
Okay.
Grants.
Okay.
And there's also the annual basis,
Yes.
327
Got it.
annually, and over $1 million in total.
In
Okay,
total.
so there's more money there than just the 327 to manage?
Yes.
Okay.
And our grants manager, in addition to managing the grants for that position, we want that person to have an enormous role in tracking our outcomes and our data and our service numbers. So that position will be tracking the work at the Gene Crow AFSI Center, tracking the work at the Family Justice Center and the work of our partners to see if we're moving the needle, doing quarterly grant compliance. And our grant work isn't just for ourselves. We look for grant opportunities for other people. We hear about a VOCA grant that might be good for the DA's office. We'll let them know about that, and we'll join them as partners or our nonprofit partners. And many of our grants can be subcontracted to our nonprofit partners. So our grant work is a little bit more complex and tricky than the traditional model within most Metro departments.
And that grant request is in this FTE for this year, correct?
Yes, it is number 3.
Yeah, okay.
And
I'm good.
Well, I think we ought to, just for a second, because I think you've got we're talking about multi-year here, so you've got a significant, obviously, request for this year. And then we anticipate the Family Justice Center opening probably in 18 or 19.
Yep.
And it looks like another $850,000, give or take, to operate that, to staff that office. And so how are those all, how are they going to function together? Or do they, I mean, do some of the services at the current Gene Crow move to the Family Justice Center, or, I don't know, just kind of help us all kind of understand how that's going to work?
So basically, we started with a pilot, and then we're moving on to the mothership. So the Family Justice Center on Murfreesboro Road is the mothership, the main office, and the Gene Crow Center will be a satellite component of that. Our advocates, we picture them rotating throughout. It's very important, in my opinion, to keep your advocates moving throughout the system and interacting with their partners in different capacities. So we're hoping that will add efficiency, so there won't be exclusive Gene Crow AFSI Center advocates and Family Justice Center on Murfreesboro Road advocates. They will be one collective group that rotates throughout both facilities. So we're hoping that will help help solve some of that. Some of the positions that come with the new one is working with our partners. We don't need every partner in the building to have a person at the reception desk. We need one. So where should that land? If that should land in police, that's of course fine. If that should land in our department, that is also fine as well. There will be a Gene Crow-Apsey Center type structure and facility in that building. And that will be the primary area where all these partners will work with and interact with their clients.
And just, I think along those lines, I mean, my impression of the Advocacy Center was the opportunity to bring those partners to domestic violence victims, but it looks like we're actually growing as opposed to finding those community resources that we could leverage that may already do a lot of this.
Right. We hope that that will be the case, that the community partners, but in looking at the 2-3-year budget, we're instructed, don't assume that you will get a grant, don't assume that you'll get this, what will it take? We hope that we will get some VOCA money, and that can cover some of those positions. We would hope that maybe we can have some partnerships through CEF, where the YWCA, Morningstar, and our other nonprofit partners like Legal Aid can come in there and offer services through the center and through the Family Justice Center on Murfreesboro Road. That part of what we ask for in the future is assuming that none of that happens.
Got it.
This is what it would take for that facility to run.
Good. That's helpful.
Also, real fast, I just wanted to say something about night court, if I may have a moment.
They already said it yesterday.
Okay, I was here, and I did hear that. I do want to just briefly emphasize for my lane is domestic violence and sexual assault, and for my lane of domestic violence, that the clerical support to ensure that records are being run and have certifications that those records are being run, and to reduce backlog is important. So the record checks and the support to be able to ensure that those record checks are being done.
You said it well. They said it yesterday, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Diane. Thank you for being here. Thank you. It was good to see you both.
Thank you.
I appreciate all you do.
Thank you. We
Thanks.
appreciate you.